Hello, I'm Nilofer from Me with a Pencil. Today we will be painting florals in a basket. First, let's sketch our basket. We will be doing a very light sketch and a very basic. So don't worry, it's not going to be any difficult one. It will be a hanging basket, light sketch, simple V-shaped line, and then connect it. Make sure your lines are very soft and very light so that they do not leave a very heavy impression on the paper. This is a hanging basket, so we're going to leave a few finger space and make a rope on the top. Now for the materials, a mop brush, Art Essential from Art Essential, a Princeton Velvetouch brush, 4-number round brush, Winsor Newton colors, and a cold press watercolor paper and a fresh jar of water. So let's begin. Let's add some fresh flowers in the center, few simple strokes, and then very simple ones, just the dashes. Then take some clear water and add it around it. Drop in some more clear water and blend it so that it covers the whole area. Now take some fresh crimson colors or permanent rose and blend the whole area around. So you can also blend the simple dash stroke that we have previously added. It will blend with the water and give you a good smudged work. Then take, after blending, clean the brush and add another set of fresh colors. This will be a little bit more darker than the previous one. And I'm going to take some phthalo blue and add another set of phthalo blue as flowers and soften the edges. And background for the flower is ready. Now let's work on the basket. It's okay if your flowers are overlapping your basket and there is there will be anyway a shadow falling over the basket. I'm going to be using burnt sienna or bamboo brown from Mission Gold for the base layer, and then apply the color and spread it with water. For the dark highlights, the shadow or shadows, use a Van Dyck brown or raw umbers on the corners or the side of your basket, and then slowly blend them. Make sure your blending process is very soft and slow. If you do a rough blending, there is a possibility that the paper will come out. I'm going to take the same color again and apply it just below the flowers for the shadow. Now let's add some greens. I'm using a thin brush from Princeton, a Velvetouch brush. You can use any thin brush or a rigger brush for these lines. Add some lines in the center of the basket, some on the inclined towards the left and some inclined towards the right. These will be the falling lines where you can add some small, very tiny leaves, and on the center or on the middle you can add bigger leaves. Switch to a 4-number size brush and you can create some bigger leaves once you've added the tiny ones. Add some on the left and the right, and then start adding a little bud opening for your wildflowers. Now I'm going to switch to a yellow color for my wildflowers and add a little to contrast with the whole basket, which with my red and the blue color down. I'm going to add some nice lovely yellow wildflowers on the top. To make the wildflowers, add some dotted strokes or a little C-curve strokes. You can use a Gamba hue or Indian yellow for the wildflowers, add with a touch of orange or a scarlet red. Now let's add the texture to the beautiful mist that we created in the beginning. Some petals and using the same color, the crimson and the phthalo blue. Small strokes like we added in the beginning, and then we can add them together in different directions and use the crimson color or phthalo blue. For the center of the flower, you can use either a Payne's Gray, black, or a Van Dyck brown or burnt umber. Strokes, little dashes to create a little impression of the flowers. These are all dry strokes. Do not wet the paper before adding these little small dashes, small strokes. Go ahead and try not to overlap the blue and the crimson. You would get a muddy color and we do not want that. For the texture of your basket, now let's switch to a thinner brush, your rigger brush, your liner brush, or it can also be your 0 number brush. Add some crossed lines, some lines that intersect each other. That will give you a nice texture, a rigged texture on your basket. Make sure the bottom part is a little darker, so use different shades when you are making these lines. I'm using burnt sienna for the inside lines, and then for the darker lines I'm using Van Dyck brown or raw umber. Make really thin lines so that you get a lovely texture. From bottom itself, just drag the color out towards the left to create a cast shadow. Mix some black violet for your shadow color. You can add a little crimson or a tallow or a cobalt blue according to your preference. You can use this color for creating a lot of shadow strokes on the basket. Now let's get back on the top and add some more green and make the basket more fuller. As I mentioned about the rigger brush, this is the rigger brush, and you can see the tip of the rigger brush is very long, and hence it can give you really good strokes when you want to make very thin lines. So here I'm using a rigger brush to give you and demonstrate you with how thin and beautiful lines you can get. While you're adding the mix of green on the top, take some burnt sienna or raw umber and create some small strokes, like add some lines and a little circles to give it a nice bushy effect where we've added some dry leaves or dry stems. Now for the basket, we're going to add something called as a dry brush effect. For a dry brush effect, your brush has to be damp and a very little set of colors, and the brush stroke will be quite fast, like sweeping through quickly. So let's try. I'm going to take a brown color, burnt sienna, and I'm going to sweep through quickly. So when you sweep through quickly, you get this rugged effect where the color the whole patch doesn't have a color, and that's called as dry brush effect. Once your whole mist has dried, you can take a fresh set of colors, same crimson and tallow blue, and go over and add some more strokes to your flowers. Now that will help to add more depth to your flowers. So adding some blue strokes on the top so that it looks like it's an open bouquet, open bunch of flowers on the top. Once you've done this, add some more greens on the top. And now let's start working on the handle of the basket that's going to be on the top. For that, we just use some burnt sienna. It's a hanging basket, remember. Some burnt sienna, a very simple handle, and just blend it out from both the ends. And I'm going to add a little small, like a nail in the middle where the basket is hanging from. Finally, some last bits of touch-ups, some leaf and some dark areas. If you enjoyed this painting and if you try them, please do tag us, share it with us at Me With A Pencil and at Art Lounge. Tag us. We would love to see your work and share it. And finally, don't forget to sign your paintings. Thank you.